It looks like the markets are reacting to Switzerland trying to get a bailout for Credit Suisse. This could very well be a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of event, but this is going to lead to more volatility within our markets over the next couple of days. Now, I did want to put that in the beginning of this video to give you guys this information right up front, hopefully as soon as possible. Now, with that being said, this video is mainly going to be about AMC and this whole vote process. I've had a lot of people say that 87% of investors besides Intera Capital voted for a yes on this vote, and that is absolutely 100% not true. So I want to get into what is actually going on, what caused so many votes to be yes, and ultimately what comes out of all of this. Are we going bust, or is this the Moass? Guys, let's get into all of this information. Hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Now, we got to think about this, right? Let's actually go to Adam Aron's Twitter real quick and discuss the tweets that everyone is kind of making these assumptions about. So it says, today was a huge step forward for AMC. You voted yes, yes, and yes, and it was a landslide vote too. 88% yes for proposal 1, 87% yes for proposal 2, and 87% yes for proposal 3. My sincerest thanks for giving AMC the tools we need to continue fighting the good fight on your behalf. Next tweet, saving AMC is my professional mission, and remember that I own millions of AMC shares and APE units too. So I very much want for AMC to succeed. I'm absolutely and passionately convinced that what you approved today is the best interest of AMC and all of our shareholders. So what happens now? We cannot implement what you approved today until the litigation in Delaware courts is resolved. The next court hearing on this matter is set for April 27th, 2023. We will update stockholders when we have additional information. Now, 87%, 88%, these are the numbers. Okay, so think about this. Intera Capital, boom. Just call that about 35% of the yes vote. 35% of the yes vote. Let's just break out the calculator here, and this is the first time I'm actually going to do these calculations, just so everyone is kind of on the same page. Let's go with 88% minus Intera Capital. That leaves about 53% of the yes vote for everyone else, for other hedge funds, for retail investors, right? Okay, gotcha. Well, the only reason. Okay, let me go back. The people that really voted on this, that really wanted this to happen, in either direction, right, but really wanted this conversion to actually take place, were the hedge funds. Now, why did hedge funds vote yes to this? Well, because there is an arbitrage trade here. And when there is so many APE shares, there's even more APE shares than AMC shares, but when there's so many APE shares, owned by these hedge funds that wanted to see this conversion happen, keep in mind, they were shorting AMC, buying APE. So these yes votes, they ultimately came from the APE shares. The yes votes did not come from AMC shares in the volume of which you would expect, right? Well, the hedge funds voted for it. The hedge funds were buying APE. That was the whole trade. So the hedge funds bought APE and they voted yes for this. Whereas AMC shareholders, you never really had a vote because so many hedge funds were voting yes for this that owned APE. So the courts are trying to argue essentially that you did not have a vote because all the hedge funds just bought the APE shares and they wanted to see this conversion because of essentially this arbitrage trade. And I think that's pretty straightforward to see. Now, think about it like this. If you went back to, call it November, right? When nobody really wanted to own the APE shares, hedge funds didn't really want to own them, right? Why would they want to own them? And there wasn't this arbitrage trade. What would the voting numbers look like for this proposal? Well, probably not 87% yes, 88% yes. That's the argument here, is that this vote was essentially rigged by AMC with Intera Capital because they made this arbitrage trade possible. They literally made it possible. Due to the deal with Intera, all these hedge funds started to get involved in this arbitrage trade. If there was not this deal with Intera Capital, then they wouldn't have solidified this yes vote, essentially rigged the election, and there would have been more uncertainty. There would have been a lot more doubt within this arbitrage trade. There was not because of this deal with Intera Capital, and that's exactly what the litigation is claiming, that we did not have a voting right. We did not have votes because it was diluted with hedge fund votes with ape shares, and apparently there's 1.8 ape shares per one share of AMC, so it really didn't even matter if all apes that owned AMC voted yes, it would still get outweighed by the ape shares. So really there was 53% of the votes that were yes if you exclude Intera Capital. That's much closer to the 50% mark, and if you take out the other hedge funds there that were involved in this trade, probably another 50% of the votes, you were really like 75% no, 25% yes. Just call it 25% more of the votes were hedge fund votes that wanted this to happen, that owned ape, not owned AMC. The argument is that this is not good for AMC shareholders. Why do AMC shareholders not have a right to vote? It's only the ape shareholders that are controlling the vote when they are the ones that would benefit. Hopefully this is clicking with everyone and makes some sense, and hopefully this provided a little bit more clarity to this situation. And that's how it looks like, at least to me, the court proceedings April 27th. One, it's not going to be over April 27th. So we're going to be in limbo here for probably a while. Probably early to mid-summer is before anything would actually happen and anything would get resolved. Now, there is a great chance that this actually does come in as, yeah, you got to redo this vote. Ape shares do not count. In that instance, what would happen? Well, AMC would likely rock it because, I mean, it's ape shareholders, it's not hedge funds, right? They're shorting AMC actively. Guys, this is like so laughable, at least to me, because it's so obvious, right? The hedge funds want this. They own ape. They voted for it. AMC shareholders, you and me, necessarily did not want it, right? We voted no towards this, but they were shorting AMC, right? So seems pretty obvious to me. Seems pretty clear cut this was a rigged vote. It does not take much looking into this to actually see that. They diluted or eviscerated AMC common stockholders' rights to vote or voting power, as per Allegheny County Pension Fund or Retirement Fund, is exact words. They eviscerated AMC stockholders' voting power. So with that considered, it's not going to happen, guys. At least in my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, all that good stuff. You guys know the disclaimer here. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think any way in hell it actually holds up in a courtroom. If it does get entertained, if we don't get a resolution April 27th, the next court date is probably going to be late May, and then another one probably early to mid-summer. That's really my expectations. Now, what happens if this comes back as we need a revote? Well, there is going to be pretty much immediately a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt that this is actually going to go through, because at that point the playing field is going to be leveled. So in that case, probably not going to go through. And I think that instantly causes the Moass. I think ultimately when we get a real vote, it doesn't happen. Over 5% of the float is sold short from hedge funds due to this arbitrage trade alone. If these numbers are correct, who knows? Could be a lot higher by now. It's really hard to tell. If we look at the short interest right now, it's sitting at a solid 24%. Short interest used to be 18-19% on AMC just a couple of weeks ago, right? Couple of months ago before this arbitrage trade was ever announced, and you're sitting at about 124 million shares that are currently sold short. You could probably shave 30-40 million shares off of that are just short based off of this arbitrage trade alone. Now that we're going to be in limbo for a while, that puts a lot of doubt in the air that really this will ever go through. And based off the initial reaction of this yes vote, AMC did sell off yesterday. It is selling off today. It's hard to tell if that is because of the instability in the banking sector or if that is because of this actual yes vote yesterday. Very hard to tell, but I think this sets us up for a very near-term aggressive bounce because it's not set in stone. So I think that does give you a very big relief rally from here at the very least. Now, another thing I want to point your guys' direction is the cost to borrow rates that are spiking yet again today. Cost to borrow average 237.2%, cost to borrow max 315.33%, cost to borrow minimum of 1%, whereas Interactive Brokers, you have a cost to borrow rate of 122% with about 500,000 shares that are currently available. These cost to borrow rates should have plummeted, right? There should not be this high cost to borrow rates after this event. And let me just make this a little bit more simple for you guys. The cost to borrow rates are like the implied volatility. So when cost to borrow rates are high, it means people are expecting big moves in that security, right? In that equity, in the stock of AMC. So when your major event comes and goes, you should see the cost to borrow rates actually fall, right? We've seen it in the past with AMC. Earnings comes around, cost to borrow rates spike into earnings. Earnings come, cost to borrow rates fall off a cliff. That's pretty typical of, AMC and the actual price action and cost to borrow rates action, I should say, that you tend to see after events. This is the exact opposite. Cost to borrow rates are actually spiking after this event, meaning that there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, a lot of volatility to come over the next days and weeks. Ultimately, what you can boil this down to is nothing is going to be resolved April 27th. So if you wanted to play this very short term, I think you do get an aggressive bounce from here. If you want to play this for the ultimate Moass, I think you got to be loading up on positioning right now, because coming into April 27th, you're going to get a lot of volatility, right? You're probably going to get this bullish move because the courts, they're not going to just outright dismiss this at the very least. They're going to say and hear out the case here, because ultimately they did rig the vote, and that is very easy to see from here. And I think you're going to get more uncertainty heading into that voting day, right, or court date, I should say. And then ultimately from there, I think you get the Moass shortly thereafter, guys. So that is going to do it for this video. That is really all I have to say on that one. Another note that I do want to put here in this video is you want to watch this yield curve inversion as of right now, or actually the uninversion, because you were just at March 8th inverted over 1%. Now you're inverted negative 0.42%. This is showing you guys that a recession is imminent. So more or less, if you want to trade this, fine in the markets, but I want you guys to be fully prepared for this. If you don't have stable jobs or whatever the case is, you want to be working as much as possible right now, and you want to be saving as much money as possible, because it's not necessarily the inversion of the yield curve that you have to watch out for. It's the uninversion of the yield curve. And how fast does that happen can tell you a lot. And this is happening at a record fast pace. Typically, when banks start to go bankrupt, it usually does lead to recessions pretty quickly. So I want you guys to be fully prepared for this, and literally prepare for this right now. Prepare for this right now. Save as much cash as possible. Have as much credit lines available to you as possible. This might be the time to look for another job if you only have one job and it's unstable, right? You want to make those preparations right now, because a recession is coming, and it's coming very shortly, guys. That is going to do it for this video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.